Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger and I'm a sculptor and an artist, and today I'm going to show you how to make a snail with a fairy riding on his back. And we're going to use a seashell. I want to talk about the reason why this is black for a moment. Seashells are normally beige in color or brown and sometimes colorful. I painted this one black, and the reason why is because black is the base coat for the finishes that I do, and the finishes that I do really pop. They really look nice if done on black. So a lot of my videos using polymer clay, you'll see that the clay I use is black. That allows me to be able to do my sculptures without painting them after I'm finished. And the finish looks really nice. The type of finishes that I use are a product called Pearl-X pigments. It's also sometimes referred to as mica. It has somewhat of a metallic look to it, but if it's applied the way I apply it, which is actually a very simple process, using your finger mostly and a paintbrush a little bit, you can achieve just a gorgeous finish, and so I highly recommend trying that. Pearl-X pigments, I'll put that on the tool and supply list also. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, I painted the shell black, left the inside unpainted because it really doesn't matter. And we're going to start off with making the snail itself, the body of the snail. Whenever you're working with polymer clay, you want to knead it. They call it conditioning. You need to condition it because you got to get all the polymer in there mixed up right, and so that's what they call it, conditioning. And so just getting it warm to the touch of your hand is a good idea. Just squeezing it, as you can see I'm doing here, squeezing it and rolling it in your hand like that. I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then we're going to kind of get the shape of a snail's body. And I'm just going to roll the clay here to do that. You can roll it kind of like a cone shape like that. I'm going to position the shell over it to see if it's about the right size. I want it to be a little bit longer. So something like that. I'm going to position that over it again. There we go. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about when you're sculpting something, you want to try to have it, especially like it's a figure like this, a snail, you could leave it like laid out like that, but it would be far better if you could work with it a little bit and get it to a point where it's actually a little bit more lifelike. So I'm going to pick up the head here, and I'm going to turn it. Now, snails don't really have eyes, but you most certainly can put eyes on a snail if you want, because this is not a real snail. And then maybe bring the tail out like that, and then just press it on there a little bit better. When you bake the clay, it will adhere more solidly to the shell. So you could fill in underneath if you wanted to. And the way to do that is just pick it up and sculpt in to fill it in and bring it into the body of the snail. And the way to do that, if you're going to do this, is to blend it in like that. with your thumb, or a tool. This is a wood sculpting tool, and you can do it with a tool. Like that. And that would make it just a little bit more sturdy, so we'll get another piece of clay here and do it on this side as well. Just slip it down in there like this. And also I wanted to tell you, I want to talk to you about the seashells. You know, can you put them in the oven? Yes, you can. A lot of people do. I do. Have done many times. It's not likely to. It's not gonna burst or anything. The oven just doesn't get hot enough. The cooking temperature is 275 degrees, and a piece like this is going to cook for about maybe 30 minutes, and it's just not enough heat to damage a seashell. I also sculpt with stones and pieces of wood and all kinds of things, so just keep that in mind. You're going to be okay. So I just want to flatten this a little bit so it's a little bit more sturdy and going to stand up on its own okay. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure on the base. One thing that you can do is, if you're working on a table like this, is you can put a piece of paper between the clay and the table, just to keep it from sticking to it. Okay, so now we've got the snail there like that. The other thing that you can do is you can create a base for the snail to sit on, but I wanted the snail in this case to be isolated. And then I just wanted to show you also another thing that you can do for the just to make the snail look a little bit more realistic. You can take a pair of scissors and you can split the face like that. And then just gently mold that like that, and that makes it more, it gives it kind of the antenna that they have. You can take a piece of clay, your sculpting tool, and you can just blend that in the center there where it's kind of hard to reach with your fingers. And I'm going to make the tail a little bit more pointy here. It's a little bit wobbly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around. Since the focal point for the snail is the front, we're looking at the front of the snail, what I can do is I can just widen the body in the back a little bit. Like this. And then blend that in to the body. You know, when I teach, I like people to know that it's perfectly fine to be creative and to come up with your own ideas as you're doing things. The classes that I do give you ideas, but it's the baseline. It's just the baseline for you to jump off from. And now that's a lot more sturdy like that. So it's just a baseline for you to jump off from. And do your own creating. Okay, next we're going to start working on the fairy itself. I assemble parts of the body and assemble them to form a figure. And this is oftentimes the way I teach, because I don't know who the students are, and some students are advanced and really know a lot, and some people don't know much at all. or haven't really had any experience at all. So I need to cover the whole, everyone. I want everyone to be able to try this and do it. So some of my techniques are very simple, and that's why. But again, if you're an advanced sculptor and you want to do something different or add more, or you are a far more creative person than another person, then you can do more, because you are. But some people are just starting out. So we start off with a ball of clay, and then we're going to roll it into an oblong shape or a noodle, shape of a noodle. And we want to keep it as uniform as possible, like that. And then we're going to fold it in half like that, and we're going to set it on top of the shell. Now again, I want to stress, it's really important to try to make things look lifelike that you're doing. So we're gonna put him in a position. This is his legs now, so we're gonna maybe put this up like that. Okay, so it looks like his leg is up, and then maybe have this one coming down like that, and then bend up the bottom here to make a foot. So it looks like he's just chilling out there. I want to touch on one thing. If you don't paint your seashell, it would be a really good idea to take a product like Golden's Medium GAC 100. It's basically just a multi-purpose acrylic polymer, and paint the shell with it, or if you're working on a stone or a piece of wood, paint it with it, allow it to dry. It only takes a few minutes to dry. Make sure you clean your brush with water whenever you paint something, and that will seal the shell or the stone or the wood so that the polymer will stick to it far better. Okay. Now, of course, I painted the seashell black, so I don't have to do that with this. But if the shell was natural, it hadn't been sealed or anything, I would definitely use this or something like it. Okay, so now we're gonna create the next part. Is going to be his torso. So we're gonna roll a ball of clay like this, and we're just going to set it here on top of the legs, like that. And you can blend it in. You can blend in the torso into the legs by gently just pulling that clay down. It's easier to do it with a tool than it is to do it with your fingers because it's such a tight area. And just blend that in there. That will just it will make it a lot more sturdy. And you can smooth this all out when you're done. So if it's getting rough looking or anything like that, like here in here, you can smooth it out with one of two things. You can use alcohol, or you can use warm soapy water. Okay. Now we're going to create his head. I'm basically coming up with a ball of clay here that's going to be about the same size, or the right size, so that his body is proportionate. It's body and head are proportionate to each other. You can roll it into a little bit of a kind of oblong shape here. And just twist it on there. You can also, you know, if you're concerned about the pieces sticking together really well, keeping in mind that you want to definitely knead everything and condition the clay before you start. It's going to bond to itself better if you do that. But the other thing you can do is you can take somewhat of a sharper tool. This is another sculpting tool. These are made out of wood, by the way, but you can get them in plastic, and they have a lot of tools for polymer clay sculpting, but you know, I'm so used to using these tools, and I've had them actually for many years, so I just use these. But you can get other things, and a lot of people just use toothpicks actually. But if you wanted to bond two pieces of clay together and make it like real, and so that you know and feel comfortable with it being sturdy, you can score each piece of clay to be joined like this, and then twist them together like that, and then blend them together like that. Okay, so we're just going to blend this now. I'm just going to blend it just a little bit. I don't want to really mark it up or anything like that. I just want it to be fairly sturdy like that. Okay, now I think it would be a nice idea if this guy was playing something, and I often do this. I like to, I'm a musician myself. I like to bring music into my work. So what I'm going to do is create a little mandolin type instrument, and it's going to be actually very simple. I'm rolling a ball. I hold my hands on the edge, applying pressure just to the top, and roll it back and forth like that, kind of creating a teardrop shape. And then I press it flat, and that makes what we call the head of a mandolin. And actually, I'm going to move it back a little bit here. Then what I'm going to do is roll a ball, and then noodle, and I'm going to put it on the head like that and blend it in. Okay, and next what we're going to do is take a noodle of clay, maybe a little bit smaller. Let's see, we're going to size it out here. It takes a little bit of practice to sometimes to size clay to the size you need it, but you can always pinch it off. It's just that if you have to do that, sometimes it's hard to get the shape. Like in this case, I'm making an arm, and there's going to be a hand, and I don't want the hand to be all choppy. So you could put this on here and just see if it's going to be enough. It looks like it's going to be fine. So I'm going to just put it in the position of him playing with his right hand, and gently press that in so it becomes his shoulder and his arm. And then blend in the arm to the body. And while I'm doing this, I want to talk about polymer clay for a minute. I've tried different kinds, and I have to say that the best kind that I have found is the Sculpt 3. It's really the only kind I use. Some people, I've heard people say that polymer clay is like peanut butter. I've heard people say that about Sculpting. I can't imagine trying to sculpt with something that's like peanut butter. You want it to have some firmness and that sort of thing. This is a really easy, good clay to work with, and I do recommend it. That is not, however, a paid endorsement, I just want to say. So, you know, I'm a sculptor, I'm a teacher, and I like to share what I do with people. And so obviously I'm going to share with you, things that help me to do my job better. And I have to say, Sculpting 3 is a good product. Okay, so we're going to pick this up just a little bit and roll it out. I'm gonna bring it to a shoulder. I'm not really gonna attach it. I'm gonna press it into place a little bit just to make sure I've got that it's gonna be the right length here. Bring his hand around like that. And then I'm just gonna support it with my finger and blend it in like that. And there we go. And you could maybe rest this a little bit on his knee like that, just touching it to support it a little bit better. Another thing you can do is whenever you're making doing these body parts, or a guitar neck or mandolin neck, or anything that's skinny and you need support for it, you can use craft wire. This is 16 gauge, 8 yards was $6.50 at the bead store that I go to, and it's very sturdy actually, and you could just slip that down into the neck of that, and that will cook okay, that'll bake okay. And then you can cut it with these are actually toenail clippers, I think, and you just cut it. It's very easy to cut, and actually I think even a decent pair of scissors would work on that as well. Yes, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and now we're going to do a few other things here. We're going to dress him. We're going to put some clothing on the guy. So you can roll a little noodle of clay, and you can add it down here at the bottom of his cuff, making a cuff, I should say. Like that. Do one on the other side of the other leg there. Anything that you do, to do it well, you have to practice. And if you're just starting out, you've never made anything before, and you don't see it working out quite the way I did it, keep in mind, I've been a sculptor professionally since 1994, and I do a lot of sculpture. I sculpt all the time, so I have a lot of practice. So just be patient with yourself. It's a lovely skill, but you have to practice. And I'm putting a cuff on his sleeve here. And I think because that's kind of obscured by his knee, I'm not going to mess with that over there. I'm just going to leave it. And so now I'm gonna do a fairly simple face on him. I'm just gonna take a small ball of clay. Let's see, a little bit smaller. And I'm gonna create a little kind of a ball fat nose on him, like that, kind of like you see on a clown. And then I frequently I think fairies and all that, I think they need to have beards, and it's just nice, and beards are fun. So you can roll a noodle of clay and just flatten it out a little bit. Flatten it at the top there, like that. Have it hanging over the mandolin to add a little whimsy. And then you can roll another noodle of clay, and you can roll it at the edges also. At the each end. And just put it under his nose there, like that. Like that. And then we can take some more clay here and create a hat for him. And if you wanted to do eyes, you know, for something this small, I would recommend taking an X-Acto knife like this or something sharp and just putting in lines to be his eyes, and that would be, you know, probably fine. And then take a little bit more clay here. You know, whenever you just want to make sure you knead or condition the clay, squeeze it in your hands. And I'm just going to roll a ball here and then a noodle like that. I'm going to open this up so it's basically like a hole for his head. And just put that on there, and then just pull it down like that. So you can see he's really come together here. Just turn him around here. Probably want to look at him from all the directions. I want to smooth. I know I want to smooth this out a little bit here. I want to definitely come back and smooth that out. And that's a really fun piece. And I will tell you this: if you take some of this, if you wanted to put this in like a garden when you're done with it, before you cook it, you could take a little bit of wire, maybe cut a length about that long there, and just stick some up into the body of the snail, so that they're sticking down, and then just carefully lay the sculpture down when you cook it. And that would allow you to, you know, that's what they call that pinned, when you pin a sculpture so that it can stand up in soil. But if you look at this now, I mean, it's very whimsical, it's lively, and that's why I showed you how to sculpt it that way, because you can see, I mean, it's actually very fun. This is a fun piece, and actually I'm quite pleased with it. So let's go ahead and do the finish. So again, we're looking at what we got here is Pearl-Ex pigments. Pearl-Ex is just a product name of one that I like and that I use. You know, there's other kinds. There's all kinds, many kinds. So you know, brands or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But you definitely want to, if you're going to do this finish, you're going to see it's really quite beautiful. So we're going to start off with a bronze. This is also, you know, would be considered gold. And you put it on your finger, you dab your finger into the powder, and for the best effect, you take your finger, your thumb, and you swirl it on it, just like go around one time, just like that. And then just carefully take your finger and highlight what you can reach with the bronze. And what it does, basically, if you do it this way, is it's a kind of an antique-y aged finish. And actually, if you were to look at bronze with black patina, it's called patina, it would look just like this. It's actually very realistic. And a lot of people, they see my pieces. I've been doing these finishes for many years, and it's about the only finish I do. I mean, I do different colors and that sort of thing, but it's just so realistic, and people say, wow, is that metal? I mean, I've had so many people ask me that, is that metal? And all it is really is clay that has this finish on it. And I'll go around here and just go around, and you're probably not going to get the true benefit of the appearance of this on video, unfortunately, but it's something, it looks a lot better in person, in other words. Now I'm going to use a small, it's going to be hard to get the seashell. I want to do the shell in purple, so I've got this, this is actually, it's not purple, it's actually Reflex Violet is the name of it. I'm going to put it on the tool and supply list that's on the video. You've probably already seen it. You can go back and look at it. It has all the different things that I'm using on there. And I'm just going to go around, and when I put the dip the brush into the powder, then I dab it just a little bit on the table or a piece of paper, just to take off the excess so it doesn't like really get caked on there. On the shell itself, you can also use wax. In fact, it would work a lot better with wax, but I don't have it handy here. You just dab it in the wax, and then you dab it in the purple. And you would definitely want to do that before, you know, finishing it. Okay. Now, I oftentimes, when I'm doing a finish, like if I use purple, then I want to use purple somewhere else. And so, in this case, I'm going to use it on his hat. You don't need the wax on the clay. If you, the seashell is a different material, and it's not going to take the pigment as well as the polymer clay. So just keep that in mind. On the shell, you would use wax. And then I think I'm going to use, you can clean your brush off, first of all, you can clean your brush off by just rubbing it on a rag or something like that. I'm going to use, this is silver. I think his beard should be white. So white to silver, basically. We'll put that on his beard. And maybe on the mandolin. Okay, and then I'm going to just brush off or wipe off the brush on a rag, and then I'm going to dip it in the bronze. Ideally you could use your fingers, but it's so small. You just want to have a nice light touch if you're trying to achieve this finish that I'm pretty much known for. if I'm known for something, I'm known for my finishes that, you know, just blows people away. They cannot believe how metallic-like it is. And it's a very deep, rich finish. You could always sculpt your pieces in, you know, different colored clays. You could use a pale clay, you know, and paint it, or do whatever you want. I mean, you know, this is a baseline. It's just the way I do it, and I teach it and show people what I do. Like that. There we go. Wow, I think he turned out pretty cool. Just want to get that back on there, rest it on there, like that. Straighten that out a little bit. And you know, I would say he's about done. And then you would bake him for a piece like this. The way it works is it's at a preheated 275 degree oven, household oven, for 15 minutes. This is for Sculpey 3, 15 minutes per 1/4 inch of mass. And what that means basically is you take the thickest part of the thickest clay part, which is probably the neck of the snail, and you measure that, and it's basically a 1/2 inch. So you would cook this piece for 30 minutes, and that's what you do. Listen, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. I do reply, and leave comments. Please rate the video. Say what you think about it. And if you like this kind of content, I do a lot of videos like this. It's mostly what I do is sculpture videos, how to sculpt. Most of my channel is related to sculpting, clay, polymer clay especially, and there's a lot of you know, fairy related things on there. I really enjoy doing this type of sculpture. And so please subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.